The struggle is real, girl. If you're an empath, shit, aka life, can feel so freaking hard. Feeling your own feelings is hard enough, let alone feeling all the feels of everyone else. All the people around you and around the world. See, right there, that's already a struggle. Today, I'm not only gonna share struggles that only genuine empaths would understand, I'm also gonna give you some tips on how to get off the struggle bus, okay? If you're an empath and you wanna feel more confident in your decisions and the work you're meant to do in the world, subscribe to my channel and tap that little bell to get notified each week when I post a new video. I'm Ciara Rubin, best-selling spiritual author, singer, and lifelong psychic empath. I've spent nearly a decade helping hundreds of women tap into their intuition to get the answers they want and feel confident taking empowered action. Let's dive right into struggle number one that I mentioned earlier, feeling all the feels. I know that as an empath, you feel things deeply. You feel your sadness, you feel your joy, even though you don't always express your joy or your sadness or your anger. You have big feelings and you probably weren't held space for as a child because of it, because your parents weren't allowed to feel their big feelings. It goes back and back and back, and you get to be the one to heal your generational trauma so that it won't pass on to your children, so that it won't continue on in the world. You get to be the one that makes it okay to feel those big feelings and to let them move through you, right? Emotions can move through us if they are allowed to, but if they get stuck, then we're talking about shadow work. Then we're talking about dysfunctional behaviors and situations and relationships that make your life miserable. So actually learning how to feel all the feels in a way that is healthy and balanced is really, really important. And I share a lot about that in my best-selling book, You Always Know, a 4-step guide for empaths to stop second guessing and trust your intuition. But let me just tell you that you do not have to feel all the feelings of everyone else. You can learn how to shine your energy out, how to consistently clear and cleanse your energy so that you're taking care of yourself and that you're not ending up feeling drained and like you don't have the time and energy to do the big things that you want to do in the world. I can totally relate as somebody who is a recovering perfectionist, recovering people pleaser, lifelong empath. Like I said, I know what it's like to sense the feelings of other people. And it's gotten to the point now, I've developed it to the point where I know, okay, this is not my anxiety. This is not my fear. I do not need to take this on right now. Specifically, a lot of times with my partner, with my husband, I can get a sense of where he's at sometimes. And if he's feeling a little depressy or a little anxious or a little frustrated, I do my best not to take that on and then project that back onto him. And how do I do that? Here's your tips. Number one, salt soap. Salt is very clearing and purifying. So getting a very high quality, organic, fragrance-free Himalayan pink salt soap, either from Etsy or Amazon, is a great way to go to cleanse your energy at the end of the day or whenever you take your shower, to imagine all of that energy being purified and washing off of you and down the drain with the water. Number two is, I mentioned it earlier, shadow work. And so the ultimate goal of the shadow work that I teach in my book and in my classes is catharsis. What does that mean? Bawling your eyes out, girl. So whatever it takes, whether that is listening to a song that makes you feel emotional, watching a movie that makes you feel emotional, writing letters to the people that have screwed you over that you don't intend to send, and reading them out loud to yourself. Whatever brings about the catharsis is the goal. The catharsis, the crying, literally your body will vibrate and bring all of that stuck energy up and out of your body. You are a physical being. So yes, knowing and intellectualizing and talk therapy all the way through your problems can get you only so far. You have to let yourself break down, have the catharsis so that you can break through. And tip number 3 is boundaries. Boundaries, bitch. We're going to be talking about that a lot on this channel because as empaths, we struggle with boundaries. And even when we start setting boundaries, we struggle with being that person that sets boundaries. So setting healthy boundaries is a huge key to not taking on the feelings of other people, not taking on the energy of the other people, and it's completely different energy than practicing spiritual protection. Setting a boundary has the energy of, this is what I will and won't accept, and I'm going to change my behavior accordingly if you are not going to adjust to meet and respect those boundaries. Ooh, girl. Do you feel all the feels? Tap that like button to let me know. And as an empath, I'm curious, how do you feel about big crowds? Do you love them? Do you leave them? Let me know in the comments below. Empath struggle number 2, energy vampires. All right, this is a little bit of a piggyback off of feeling the feels, but you're gonna feel those feels whether you're around an energy vampire or not. So energy vampires are a real thing. They are basically unconscious people, or even sometimes somewhat conscious and spiritual people who are sucking the energy from the room, who are not doing their shadow work. And so they are projecting their shadows onto anyone and everyone else in their vicinity. They often talk a lot and don't leave space for other people to share or express themselves. They are often one-uppers, and they are constantly talking about themselves and almost never asking you about yourself. So if you know people like this, or you have people like this in your life, in your family, in your circles, girlfriend, you have to set those boundaries. You have to say no when you mean no. With those people who you know are energy vampires, you need to wait a little while before responding to their text message. If they're trying to emotionally dump on you again, I have some boundary setting scripts that you can get for free in the resources section of that book. It's at a special URL when you buy the book. There are some boundary setting scripts that you can set in your relationships with your partner, in your relationships with friends, in your relationships with family. Exactly what to say and how to say it. And does that mean that they're going to have a good reaction when you're setting those boundaries? Maybe, maybe not. Energy vampires tend to supremely benefit from you not setting boundaries. And so when you start to love yourself, respect yourself enough to set those boundaries, you're probably going to rock the boat, but that's okay, because you will love yourself more. You will feel more empowered. You will have more energy, that they are not draining away from you, that you are not allowing them to drain away from you, right? You're not a victim. You are allowing them to drain your energy. You are choosing to continue to put yourself in those situations, in those relationships with those energy vampires, so you can choose differently. And that will give you more energy to do the things that you are really meant to do in this life and in this world. Can I get an amen? The other tip for dealing with energy vampires is to shine your energy out and actually be loving. Nothing disturbs an energy vampire more, who typically struggle deeply with narcissism and a lack of self-love, a deep sense of self-shame. Nothing triggers them more than you being really happy and really nice and not having anything to complain about. So trigger them, trigger queen. Go ahead and shine your energy out. Go ahead and talk about the things that you're doing in your life that are inspiring you. Talk about the things that you love and that light you up. Talk about the ideas that you have been noodling on and simmering on that are really just revving you up. Shine your energy out, and they will either leave the room, or maybe they'll start to entrain to your vibration instead of the other way around. You can be the vibrational catalyst in the room. You don't need to be the vibrational victim of everybody else, okay? Struggle number 3 that empaths tend to face is gut or digestion issues. Girl, don't I know it. Empaths are really, really clairsentient, which is that clear feeling, psychic ability, intuitive sense. And that psychic ability is centered in your heart and your solar plexus, in your gut. And so when you are an empath and you are struggling with your self-confidence, your self-worth, your people-pleasing, your perfectionism, you are going to have digestion issues. And I'm telling you, the issue is not the food. The issue is probably your leaky gut. I'm not a medical professional, so take this with a grain of salt. And or your energetic issues that I just talked about, the self-confidence, the self-empowerment, the indecisiveness, the people-pleasing, and all of the lack of boundaries that you're struggling with. That's why you're struggling with gut issues. And how do I know? Because it takes one to know one. I used to struggle with severe gut issues, definitely had leaky gut syndrome, definitely struggled with IBS during my second pregnancy, and I have healed those issues. I went from having to be on the low FODMAP diet, I was vegan for 2 years, and then now I can eat pretty much anything that my body intuitively desires. So I do eat meat now, I can eat dairy again, whereas before my system just couldn't handle it. So here's to say from experience, not from a medical perspective, that you can heal your gut, that you can heal those digestion issues, that you can change your relationship with food and allow yourself to be nourished, allow yourself to be fed in a way that empowers you and helps you to love yourself. And that begins with healing those energetic issues. I know it's all possible for you. And so that struggle can be alleviated, can be healed, so that you can truly live your fullest expression and take the action that you need in order to live that fullest expression out in the world. Struggle number 4, and this is a big one. This is reciprocal friendship, and I'm specifically talking about female friendship. As empaths, we often struggle, you will often struggle with finding your true best friends, the ones who are really choosing you as much as you are choosing them, the ones who are really there to love you and support you no matter what. That can be a real struggle for an empath, and believe me, I know from personal experience. I've shared on this channel before, when I had my initial spiritual awakening, I realized that my life was full of people who didn't really like the person that I was becoming, and I was becoming exactly who I actually am, my truest version and expression in the world. I had a deep sense of satisfaction in finally knowing who I am and knowing what I was meant to do in this life. And the people in my life, in fact, my entire wedding party of 7 people couldn't take it, weren't interested in me setting boundaries with them, weren't interested in me not being the only one to set up or reach out for hanging out, weren't interested in me taking on new beliefs that felt more empowering and seeing the world through a more positive lens, weren't into me not gossiping with them as a way of connecting. And so they all eventually ghosted me and left my life. And then for a while, I was pretty fucked up about it. And I really just had one friend for about 7 years. I still had my husband at this time, though things with that relationship were super tumultuous. I do discuss all of this, by the way, in You Always Know. So definitely check out all the juicy details there. I'll leave the link in the description below. Only had one friend. And in fact, I almost ghosted that friend about 3 different times. Not because she did anything shitty to me, but because, you know, she did something that I wasn't in a full alignment with in my new spiritual way of being. Or because I was scared of getting too close to somebody is the real truth. But after 7 years of just having the one friend, I started to call in other friendships, and they were great. And some of them stuck around, and some of them I had to let go of because I was continuing to grow, and I noticed that either they weren't truly happy for me, I had to censor myself in the things that I truly believed in, and so it just wasn't going to work for me. But I did not ghost those people. I did a process of drawing gradual boundaries with them until eventually they either left on their own, or every once in a while they'll reach out and we'll meet up and it's nice. But ultimately, I have opened that space and have called in 2 more amazing best friends who choose me, inspire me, love me, and I love them, I choose them, and hopefully I inspire them from time to time. And so I just want you to know that this is possible for you. And so here's my tip based on the story that I shared with you. Let go of those shitty friends. Let go of those people who are dumping on you, of those energy vampires. Draw gradual boundaries with them. Have the tough conversations, or let them go on their own. Or if you have to ghost them, ghost them. You know, cutting them out of your life is sometimes better than keeping them in if it's keeping you small and keeping you stuck. Be willing to hold that space of not having any friends, but only having yourself and spirit and maybe your partner to connect with for a time. Allow that space to be so that you can work on yourself and become a vibrational match to the kind of friendships that you know that you deserve. And once you start to do that, you will start to recognize the good ones as they come into your life. But I want to give you a quick empath empowerment message. You know, all of these struggles that we've been talking about, it could start to make you think that, shit, like how am I even gonna live in this world as an empath? It's too hard. I'm too sensitive. I need to do protection spells. Just because you're an empath does not mean that you are more susceptible to struggles or health problems. All right, so let's dispel that, period. Mic drop, end of the story. And if you want to know the primary language that your intuition is speaking, I would love to talk about that with you in my Intuition Archetypes quiz. Just take 2 minutes, take the quiz, and if you join my email community, you will even get a guide that I will send you that tells you all about your intuition archetype, the unique language that your intuition speaks, as well as gives you a 5-minute practice that will quickly have you using that intuitive sense to connect with your higher self and get the answers that you want for free. Link in the description below this video. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. If you're an empath, obvi, you're here, check out these 2 videos right here. I love you today and every day, and I will talk to you soon, girl.